Hey, everybody, welcome to a brand new edition of the None of Your Business podcast. I'm Shawn Dill. This is my beautiful wife, Lacey Book here. And today we have a bite-sized edition of the podcast for you. Just a quick synopsis, recap of one topic. Hopefully you will consume this on a car ride, give it some thought, some reflection, and take immediate action. And this is a topic that a lot of people ask you to speak about. I've had the pleasure of being able to travel around the world with you, and you've been invited to numerous conferences where people have asked you about productivity, work-life balance, and this concept that you picked out today. So I'm going to let you drive the podcast today. Done is better than perfect.
Done is better than perfect. It is my absolute favorite Black Diamond Club principle that we talk about, that we teach about. And I remember hearing it for the first time and realizing how deeply that resonated with me. Because if anybody out there is listening feels like they're a perfectionist, or you're like me, a recovering perfectionist, you know how badly the chase of perfectionism can get in your way, right?
So many applications of this. I know that you deal with this a lot with a lot of your clients. We see this a lot in Black Diamond Club. You know, you might listen to a podcast like this and be thinking, wow, so many great new things, so much new information. I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. And then you get on the path and you never really take it to fruition because, well, this wasn't quite right. I don't know if I have the right technology. All of these things where people just get stuck analyzing. They get stuck thinking. They get stuck contemplating.
You hear it all the time. It's the phrase analysis paralysis. And it's exactly what happens. You overanalyze things. You're waiting for that perfect moment, that perfect setup, that perfect look that you are trying to achieve. And what's important about that statement is you are the one that's trying to achieve it. You're the one with the perceived idea of what the perfect thing looks like. But the problem is when you're trying to go after perfection, you oftentimes never feel like it's good enough. And so instead, you just do nothing. You stop dead in your tracks. And I talk to people all the time, and you know that you are striving for perfection when you say things to yourself like, but I'm waiting on X, Y, and Z, but I don't have the right blank, but I tried it and it's just not quite there yet. People say that all the time, but I'm working on it. It's not quite there yet. And that means that you are waiting for something that may not ever come into existence.
Okay. So that brings to mind for me two things. Number one is, what if it really isn't done? What if I set out to do something and I'm not trapped by analysis? I'm actually still doing that. Is that a bad thing?
No, and I've heard you talk about this concept, and so maybe you can expand on it a little bit. MVP, and this is not most valuable player, although it could be when you're striving to achieve goals in your business. But like you've talked about the concept of MVP, and that's what it makes me think of. Okay, well, MVP in the entrepreneurial business world is minimal viable product, right? And so oftentimes in my line of work, I do a lot of consulting with people that are creating new offerings, new products, creating new businesses. And we might work for months trying to get everything together, from understanding the business model to the creation of the content, to the delivery of the content, to the marketing strategies and the sales strategies. But oftentimes what will happen is that I will push a client to actually begin the process of selling the product actually before it's technically done. Yes.
Like let's say that we're doing an 8-week course, right? And we're developing, and we've fully developed 4 of the 8 weeks. Right. We might go to sales while the last 4 weeks actually aren't even done yet. But I'm not saying that they haven't been thought of, but they just haven't been
fully produced. Or fully created,
uploaded, and they're not all totally there. But so many people just wait. Like they won't do it. Like imagine you're doing a 16-week course and you couldn't actually release it until you had finished the entire thing and it was absolutely perfect. So sometimes you are actually working on something, and that's not, done is better than perfect. That's not analysis paralysis. That's you're truly working on it. But then my second question would be, I think everybody at some point in our lives has suffered from this. Like everybody has had a project that was pretty much done and we didn't release it to the world because it wasn't perfect or it wasn't up to our standards. So what do you recommend? What do you say to people? What do you do to get over that?
Well, first off, it really comes down to your mindset, right? And so I remember a long time ago when I first started speaking on stages, and I would create the perfect talk and put together all of my slides. And when I was first getting started, I remember like in the notes section of my PowerPoints, I had every word that I wanted to say written down in the notes, and I would rehearse it, right? Which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but the problem is that I wanted to know every word so well that when I delivered it, it would be perfect. And oftentimes that was actually a hindrance to me because it would give me more anxiety or anxiousness when I was going up on stage. And then when I would deliver a talk and the words, I missed a word or I missed a sentence, while I was up there, I would be thinking, oh my God, I didn't say X, Y, and Z. And it would almost make my talk not as great as it could be, not as connected as it could be. And I remember somebody told me one time, the only one that knows that you didn't do it perfectly or that you missed that line or missed that word is you. The audience doesn't know. And that's the same thing for all the content that you create, the things that you do in your business, the stuff that you want to get out there that you're striving to be perfect. The only one that knows what quote unquote perfect is you. So when you put stuff out there, maybe it's not perfect, but it's done. At least it's getting out there in the community. It's getting your brand in front of other people. It's allowing you to test things to see what work and potentially make you a lot of money and have a bigger impact. But if you never actually put it out there, you don't get it done because you're striving for what you believe is perfection and a perfect product, even though other people wouldn't know, then you're losing out on a lot of opportunity. Well, you got to change your mindset first.
I got two things just to sort of conclude here is that number one, also it's a very selfish thing for you to hold back your product, your gifts from the world,
your expertise,
because you're waiting for perfection, right? So I'm not talking about like, hey, why don't you guys just go ahead and take up the guitar and start giving concerts, right? I'm saying that most of you actually you're experts already. Right. You already know. And so that's the second and closing point that I have is that I love, very few people know this, like I have a background in music and I love live music because there is actually something to the imperfection. So studio produced music, I don't love that, when it's been auto-tuned and everything was synthesized and everything was on, computers and all of the beats were perfect. I love live music because there is something to the imperfection. And, what I really love is Dave Matthews Band. One of my favorite things to listen to because they do a lot of live music.
The concerts, you always listen to those.
Now imagine, though, that we were to grab the members of the band following the performance. How many times do you think that they leave the stage and say, that was perfect? Yeah. Nobody, not one single one of us made one single mistake. That was absolute perfection. Never. Like it never occurs. So look, I want to encourage all of you as well to get over this idea of you are withholding your gifts until it's perfect.
Right.
Time to share them regardless because done is better than perfect. And I would even say done has a greater chance of making a bigger impact than perfection.
I agree.
All right, guys, that's all we have for you this week. We'll be back again next week with not a bite size, but a full edition of the None of Your Business podcast.